What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is a pilot review. This is Presumed Innocent. It's currently on Apple Plus. This is the new Jake Gyllenhaal show that he has been promoting a lot. He will not shut up about this show. And he's not the only one that's in it either. We have, in addition to Academy Award nominee Jake Gyllenhaal, we also have a very interesting casting choice, and I wanted to point this out because I don't know that most people, I don't know if people actually sit there and go, but this is actually, Peter Sarsgaard's in this. And if you don't understand the correlation between Jake Gyllenhaal and Peter Sarsgaard, let me tell you, Peter Sarsgaard is his brother-in-law. Peter has been married to Maggie Gyllenhaal since 2009. So, I thought it was interesting immediately because I did not know Peter was in this. Because I really only knew Jake was in this because Jake is the one who's been doing all the promotional tour stuff for this. He's been the one that's running around telling everybody he's blind, which is a conversation for like a later day, or maybe like the end of this review. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But it also has Ruth Negga, who I should also say Academy Award nominee Ruth Negga is in it. In addition to some other people, but those are kind of like the biggest names that you would recognize like immediately and be like, oh, I know those people. Peter Sarsgaard is one of those actors where it's like, why hasn't he been nominated yet? Like, I feel like we've messed this up. It is created, like produced, show run by, whatever you want to call it, David E. Kelley, who also writes, is the writer / producer of Presumed Innocent. So it's going to have that David E. Kelley vibe to it, which means less and less. It used to mean something back in the day when David E. Kelley was kind of hitting with The Practice and Ally McBeal and Boston Legal. Now I've seen some like David E. Kelley stuff where I'm like, that's David E. Kelley? Okay. Like Big Sky didn't feel like David E. Kelley to me, but it was. It's like, this doesn't feel like David E. Kelley, but okay. But now we're back into like a legal thriller, and I'm guessing Denny Crane isn't going to show up, but I'm kind of rooting for it. I don't like the director for the pilot. I don't really know what's happening with this series, but I immediately want to talk about O.T. Fagnall's decisions in life. This is an actor who immediately, I stopped like mid-episode. This actor started talking. He plays whatever the fuck his character's name is. I don't know. He plays this guy that's like running to be the new DA in the middle of this murder trial, and he gets the job and then swaps out with the old guy and he becomes like the new guy. But I swear to God, his dialogue is so weird. He is so unintelligible. It's like, I don't know what's happening. So I read article. I had to like read an interview with him to like understand like where is he coming from. I was like, because I don't know what they're trying to do with this character. I was like, are they trying to make him like on the spectrum? Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we trying to do with this character? Because he would like, Mom, like come in. Just looking at I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? Is he not mic'd? I mean, there's so many times where you think, I'm coming here. What did you just say? And I was like, who is this actor? And I pulled it up and I was like, wait, that's Luke from The Handmaid's Tale? I was like, this guy's a good actor. What the hell? What is he doing with his character? So like, I had to go down the rabbit hole, and he's like, well, I just looked at my character and I thought, seems really full of himself. So those are kind of the choices that I made. But, so that's your interpretation of full of himself, is that you can't understand what they're saying? Like, they constantly just kind of like internalize their thoughts, like almost like in a level where they just sort of like mumble their dialogue. No, sir. No, you need to, no. I don't know what Stanislav method you used to get to that, but I find them incredibly obnoxious, and I think it's hilarious that mere days into the like presumed innocent release, like a day. Like I watched this on Thursday, it was released on Wednesday. Like a day later, there's an entire article that somebody has done an interview with OT about his weird accent choice, because people are like, what the is he doing? What in the holy shit is this accent? It is so obnoxious. I don't want to watch the rest of the series. Like it's so bad that every time he speaks, I want to punch my TV set and throw it out the window. He's the worst performance I've seen this year, just in one episode, because I'm like, what director enabled this? It's more important for you to be able to understand what he's saying and hear the dialogue. But he mumbles his dialogue so badly to get to this accent, which he, I guess, interprets as being like air of superiority. Like, you know, I'm just... What? What did you just... There are, like, fleeting moments where you can understand what he says for, like, 2 seconds, where he, like, says it with a little bit more conviction, but it doesn't match what he actually answered in that interview, what his answer was. I was like, is he scared of his own shadow? Does he not want to talk to people? Is he on the spectrum? Like, what are we doing? And none of that is... OT didn't say any of that in that interview. He wasn't like, well, you know, I looked at a lot of people who have autism spectrum disorder, and I came up with this conclusion that he doesn't really like talking to people, so he just kind of mumbles everything. First of all, it'd be really hard for him to run a political campaign talking to people like that, by the way. So it's just an odd choice that when he gets into rooms with people, you know, like he's able to talk to the public and to convince them in speeches, vote for me. When he gets into a room full of people and he's like, I think I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go over there and you're just gonna stay there. I'm not like you. What? Anyway, back to the actual fucking plot of this show. Jake Gyllenhaal plays a a district attorney, not the main one, whatever you call the other ones. Somebody who works in the district attorney's office, who sort of at the beginning of the case, he's like giving a little trial thing, and he's in trial. He's giving this reading to a jury, which just sounds really optimistic. It's David E. Kelly's like eternal optimism about how law should work. But he later on, we're told that there's been a murder. We find out that this murder is the girl who's usually his second co-chair, and things kind of roll out oddly in the pilot after this. Like, we find out sort of midway through the pilot. I mean, I suspect anyway, like, it is one of those things. I think Presumed Innocent is an interesting title because, like, we're supposed to presume that he's just doing his job. But, like, immediately, of course, we're all like, he knows this girl. You know, I mean, there's a reason we're watching this series. So, he's connected to this girl somehow, and it's going to come out. So, it comes out later on when his wife brings it up. But then I'm like, the only reason somebody wouldn't bring it up is because their wife doesn't know. But if his wife does know, then why didn't he immediately disclose it? So I think these questions pop up in my mind as to why he wouldn't bring it up. Because immediately there's no motive. The motive usually when you have these kinds of relationships is the wife doesn't know and she wants to tell the wife, so the guy gets mad and kills the side piece, right? Like that's usually how these things work out. But his wife already knows. So there's really no there's really nothing there. There's no there at this point. Maybe that's like the next 7 episodes, but it does kind of bother me that he like hides it, and then it like comes out at the end of the episode, and he's like angry about it. He's like, why does it matter? Why am I on trial? Do I need a lawyer? I was like, what is David E. Kelly doing with this show? I know that there was like a movie with Harrison Ford, which is like trending now, and it's like top 10 in the Apple Store right now because everybody's like, well, there was a Harrison Ford movie? I could just watch a 2-hour version of this? They must be doing something different. They must be making different choices. First of all, it's been a long time since like 1989 when the film came out, or 1990 or whatever. It's been a while since Presumed Innocent. And so, like, lots of changes in terms of technology and politics and whatever. So you have to modernize regardless, even if you're trying to do the same story. It may also not be the same story. So I think that's a leap. But it's funny that Harrison Ford's movie is trending. So I don't think they do enough with Ruth Negga, but again, it's the first episode. You don't cast somebody like Ruth Negga unless you're going to do something with them, hopefully. So we have 7 more episodes for Ruth to come out and show and do something more than like the 2 scenes that she has here. Jake is solidly angry, which is good. He's got a fire within him, and I totally bought the fact that he is not guilty at this point. So if we're gonna 180 this, I felt like the first episode, since it's like told from his perspective, I really felt like it would be impossible for him to be guilty at this point. So if we're gonna go on a journey in the next 7 episodes, you have to convince me by the end of this that he is guilty of this, that he somehow did this, and I have a protagonist that, you know, I can't trust, then cool. Good for the show. I'm really hoping OT finds a way to express himself better in later episodes. Finds his voice, because he mumbles a lot in the first episode. So much so that there are interviews that you can Google about people asking him about his interesting accent choice. I love that they call it interesting and not shitty. When people start calling you and they're like, "What's up with your accent?" It's generally not a good thing. When all you were really required to do was be American. Like, as a British actor, all he was really required to do was pull off an American accent. And he's getting interviewed about the eccentricities of that accent. Not a good sign, bro. Just not a great look. So Jake is, you can also read stories about Jake Gyllenhaal talking about why he considers himself legally blind and how he considers that advantageous. Again, I feel like that's a conversation for a different day. It may be the reason why the only Saturday Night Live episode that has ever had audio description was the one he hosted, because he has enough power to be able to pull it in. Maybe he knows what audio description is now. I'd love to be able to have that conversation with him. Obviously, it's me sitting here. Impossible. I'm never going to talk to Jake Gyllenhaal, but I'd love to be able to have that conversation with him about what he can really do to advocate for audio description as an artist himself, and make sure that in his contracts that his films appear with audio description wherever possible, that the audio description and tracks follow his films. And he should really go back through and advocate through his library the addition of audio description to as many things as he can. Anybody who he can pressure to add audio description to. And then talk to, spread the good word to your castmates. If it's important to you, it should be important to Maggie. It should be important to Peter. It should be important to other people. So I think if the artists are controlling this, we'll see more change. So that would be my thought on that. So if you want to fall under the circle and fall under the umbrella and stand under my Ella. I'm gonna need you to advocate a little bit more for the community in which you now consider yourself to be a part of. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna give Presumed Innocence, I'm gonna give it like a B-. I don't really know what it's trying to do right now, and I have just such a strong distaste for not being able to understand OT. Like, from a directorial standpoint, from an actor's choice standpoint, I think it's bad on both of them. Somebody needed to come in and be like, no. No. I mean, you can come up with an accent, but we have to be able to understand what you're saying at all times. Like, there's no reason for him to be mumbling. He's supposed to be the leader of this group. He's supposed to have won a political race. He can't just mumble his dialogue. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.